are watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and tonight I'm back with segment 2 with Sean, Logan, and Heather Bryant. And we are just continuing where we left off from our previous show. I would like to apologize for the lighting in the previous show, but tonight, hopefully you see everyone, and we are excited to share the content we're sharing tonight. Heather, welcome back.
Thank you.
Sean, we're so happy to have you back with your beautiful bronze color.
Thank you for having me again.
So tonight I wanted to ask the two of you what you thought we should discuss, because the two of you are the ones who've been researching the information and receiving the information. And I've watched almost everything you both do. And based on what's happening in the world now, I thought maybe it would be nice if we started with some of the collapsing of the systems that we are aware of around us. But if you have a better idea based on the information you've been receiving, and Sean, what you just found out, then you can lead the way with tonight's discussion.
Okay, sounds good.
So why don't we start with you then, Sean? You just got back from a trip.
Yeah, just got back from Tulum, Mexico. I had to get out of the cold for a little bit, so now I'm back in the cold. But yeah, so sometimes I like to go to places that are a little more high energy, more spiritual. Down in Central America, Tulum is a very high energy kind of spiritual place. There's also a lot of ancient cities down there, which I've touched on many times about how there's been, different races of very advanced beings that have came down here and established cities. This is where we get all the pyramid architecture. And according to a lot of my research, it almost seems like civilization goes through cycles where there's periods of time where everything is thriving and civilization rises up really high, and then it crashes back down and goes into the dark ages. And it seems like this is kind of a recurring cycle. And it appears that we might be at the end of one of these cycles where a lot of things that we've been that have been enabled in our infrastructure and our society are starting to collapse, and something new is going to come out of the ashes, so to speak. But I know Heather's talked about this on a lot of her TikTok videos about all the different things that people perceive as normal everyday life are beginning to collapse. The banking systems, the political systems, the education systems, the healthcare systems, the religious systems, and so on. But Heather, why don't you elaborate a little bit on this, because you explain it really well.
Yes, she does.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Sean. Here we go.
there it is.
It's two-sided. I just leave this up all the time on this side. Yeah. So the four, I go into this in more detail in your other videos, Jennylyn, but my guides, I channel a group of cosmic beings that are here to help us on our human journey. And they've been sharing this with me for several years. And they told me about a year ago, it was time to start sharing what I was channeling. So what they shared with me is that there's 4 main pillars that are collapsing. The 4 main ones. There's other ones, but these are the 4 main ones that hold up this global pyramid. So I have up here the powers that were. Is it backwards for you guys? Powers that were. And then when I film, it's not backwards, but global CEOs. Then there's like different levels of management, just like any corporation. This is how the globe is being ran from what my guides have showed me, great? What keeps this up are these pillars, and the 4 pillars, the main pillars that keep all this up. So these are all the people that make all the money off of us and are surviving off of us. The 4 pillars that are collapsing are political structures, Western medicine, banking and finance, so our financial systems, and education. And my guides say that the education system is the most corrupt on the planet, because that's where this all starts, where we all end up, how we're born. What my guides say is that we're born with our memories, with our connections to our, cosmic family, our star family, our natural gifts, our magical gifts, with innate knowings. And from the time we come out of the womb, that's wiped from us. And from the time we can go to the bathroom on our own, basically, we're in the system learning the programs that they're installing in place of what they've wiped from us, so that we believe that these are the systems that we're supposed to be participating in on this planet. This is just the way things are, right? No one's ever questioned it because our parents are taught it, or our caregivers, and then they pass that on and on and on and on. The glue that holds it all together is the media. Hollywood was created when religion started failing, which is a big glue, and the law system. So that could be law enforcement, courts, like a court of law. These are all false processes and systems that are put in place to create the illusion that we have to participate in these things so we can hold up this global structure. And the people at the very top, we might never know. And it doesn't matter, my guide said, it doesn't matter who these people are. Just be aware this is what's happening. And we have a choice on whether we want to keep supporting it or not. And I'll end this with saying, I get a lot of clients, especially recently. It's starting to ramp up. That's why I'm going to create this membership community to help more people with this. So many clients are coming to me. The universe is bringing clients to me to help them. People who are feeling like they're meant to be doing more, or feeling like the career they're in isn't, not only is it not satisfying, but it's not quite paying the bills. And my guides show me that we all have blinders on. We've been taught to believe this is the way we're supposed to live. The systems aren't paying a lot of people enough, even living wages. But since we believe this is the way we have to keep going, we keep going. So we have to change our mindset and say, don't want to participate in this anymore. I'm ready to live in joy. I'm ready to live in happiness. I'm ready to do things during the day that are aligned to my highest joy, that also bring in income and wealth and abundance, that allow me to live a life of joy and peace. And watch what happens when you start shifting your mindset from believing this is real to manifesting the life that you want through unplugging from the systems. We don't have to do this anymore.
So I wanted to share with you both that this is your business, Heather, and that is your business, Sean. But I'm just a television producer. And what I do is I'm trying to tell the people that have followed me for years to share you and what you're sharing with them. And I have to tell you, I was one of these people, and this is what keeps me from like falling apart at some of the reactions I'm getting, where I know that I've been put in a box because suddenly my friends are finding it difficult to relate to me or to even see me as a relatable person because they think I've gone off the deep end and I'm believing Q stuff. They have all these little boxes that I'm being stuck in now, that I'm buying into conspiracies. And it made me realize how hardwired all of this is, because it's the only thing people know. And to try to come, and Sean, you get this all the time. That's why they beat you up. I mean, I have to tell you, my amusement every day is going to your site and to your channel and watching you. And I'm trying to emulate you and respond the way you do. Like, it doesn't faze you at all. And I'm trying to get to that place where people's reactions will be replaced, instead of feeling upset and shunned, that I would instead come from a place of compassion. And so what I wanted to share with both of you at this juncture is I made it my mission 3 nights ago. I thought, between tonight and when Sean and Heather come back to my show, I want to go on TikTok and see how many people are saying what the two of you are saying who've never met you or probably heard of you. And they're saying the same exact thing. It's the same message. It's just coming in different ways. And I try to tell people, if you don't believe what they're telling us, why are they being so heavily censored? Sean, you were doing a live yesterday, and in the middle of it, you got shut down. You want to tell us what you were talking about?
So I actually got shut down 2 days in a row trying to live stream on TikTok. And I was talking about how the Grand Canyon in around Arizona, how that was a very ancient site. There's temples and ancient pyramids there, but they're extremely eroded. I think they might have either been blown up or melted or destroyed in some kind of global catastrophe, potentially even a war. And these are still there today, and you can go and look them up. There's one called the Isis Temple, the Osiris Temple. Like, these are Egyptian names of temples in the Grand Canyon. And I was talking about how the Grand Canyon was actually a quarry where they were extracting resources from the highly advanced races that were here, thousands and thousands of years ago, over 10,000 years ago, some of them. And I was talking about the Nephilim giants and how they find Nephilim giant skeletons down there. And in the 1900s, an explorer named G.E. Kincaid came across some ancient like caverns that went into the sides of the of the walls of the Grand Canyon, and there was like entire like little cities down there with mummies, ancient artifacts, hieroglyphs. And I was talking about how these archaeological discoveries, anytime something very significant is discovered that has anything to do with alien intervention, DNA, or any kind of archaeological discoveries that disrupt the narrative and the timeline that the corporate religious industrial complex is trying to get people to believe in, it all gets swept under the rug. And this is done by a government agency called the Smithsonian. Now, the Smithsonian, for hundreds of years, in the Americas, a lot of this stuff was discovered in like the 1800s and the 1900s, but they were discovering Anunnaki Nephilim giant skeletons all over the place, as well as artifacts that did not fit into their timeline that they're trying to brainwash everyone with. So all this stuff has been swept under the rug. They've hidden away artifacts. They've covered up archaeological sites with dirt and then made up bogus stories about what happened there. They're trying really, really hard to censor the true history of what's been happening on the Earth world. And this has been an ongoing thing that I've been getting censored for like years and years now.
Too close to the truth. They don't want you to know the truth.
Well,
Nope.
the thing is, the censoring that's occurring is so intense that, to me, if I were someone watching this on a stage, I'd be asking why. Why? Why are they being so censored? Let them tell madness. Let them tell craziness. Let them speak conspiracies. Why is the censor? I mean, every one of the 20 people that I counted over a period of 3 nights who are telling the same stories you both are sharing, all of them are saying exactly, we're being censored. The video got pulled down. Heather, you posted a video today, and let's call her Brenda Spyro. You did a video on Brenda Spyro. And it was, tell what happened.
Yeah, let's just say that this beautiful soul, her big hit in the 90s was Hit Me Baby One More Time. All right. So I've been channeling her. She was the first videos on my account. She's what inspired me to create TikTok account. My guides were telling me since last January to do it, and finally I did it. And now I know why, because they wanted me to share this information. But I have about 8 to 10 videos of her on my account, but they started really censoring me. So I uploaded a video 9 hours ago. And literally no views. And usually I'm starting to grow my following, and usually I have views within a minute. And so it was censored. So, and in that video, in the videos, I'm talking about what's happening to her, which is she's trapped, and she's being kept incoherent. She's being drugged. She's being kept confused and incoherent. So that this circle around her can make money for the people even above this. This is a whole pyramid scheme. It's all part of this. And they shadow banned me. They didn't give me a warning or anything. They just didn't let it go out. So I re-uploaded the video about an hour ago without any of her hashtags, because I had put her name in the hashtags, like 3 of the hashtags, and I didn't upload any of her hashtags in it, and went out fine, and people are watching it. So it's what my guides were saying when you were saying it just feels like it's so much censorship. They're saying this has always gone on. This is why for thousands of years, whenever there's old scripts or scrolls or texts or tablets found, they just hide them, right? Or they burned books before. It's just much more obvious now. For there's two things going on. They're saying, for one, it's more obvious because more people have access to this information from a technology standpoint, so we can see when it's being censored. Where before we might never know things were discovered and never even know that they were hidden. Now we can see it because real people are reporting the news, right? So there's people seeing this stuff and getting it out there where 100 years ago that wasn't really possible. So that's one of the reasons why it feels so censorship right now. But the other reason is they're saying is that we're at a crossroads. We're at a breaking point here. I guess that's not the right words, but we're at a time where humanity's consciousness is starting to increase at an accelerated rate, and the people at the top of this pyramid are freaking out because in 2020 that was a big year, and last year's people have been waking up. But the more they push this stuff on us, our consciousness is raising, and there's a lot of more advanced souls here on the planet and children coming in, more advanced souls to help with all of this. As these souls come in and as our consciousness increases, we're starting to see more of these things. It's having a direct impact on on the truth coming out. And so the people at the top here are freaking out because it's they can try and censor all they want, but they can't keep our consciousness from increasing. And if our consciousness increases, the truth comes out in one way or another. It might be books, it might be social media, it might be whatever it is. There's all different ways that truth can come out. And so they're freaking out, which is why they have AI censoring, they have all kinds of censorship things going on to keep us from raising our consciousness. Because once more and more people wake up and raise their consciousness, this all collapses. It's like this is built on sand, and the sand is only as firm as the beliefs that we're allowing it to be built on, if that makes sense.
Right. So Sean, I don't know, I posted this today because I can't prove it, but I was told that Rumble has just been purchased. And so I wanted to ask you if that is true. Clearly, we're going to be starting to get heavy censorship there based on who I'm told the buyers are. So what, in case someone watching this show is watching you on TikTok, you and Heather, and because I know you both put material on Rumble, a lot of it is, that is being cut out of TikTok, you can put on Rumble. Where else would they find the whole story? The uncensored versions of what you both share? What other websites could they go to find you both?
Well, right now, my experience on Rumble has been pretty good. I've never gotten censored on Rumble, but if they did get bought out by some other corporation, well, we'll know their intentions if people start getting censored. But so far on Rumble, no problems. I have an Instagram called Gr8 Awak3ing, but it's spelled with the letter it's spelled with the number 8, Gr8, and then awakening, but with a 3 in place of the E. The reason I did that is because that word, Gr8 Awak3ing, is a word that I've been heavily censored for. I actually had a YouTube channel called Gr8 Awak3ing. They deleted the whole channel. But right now, for whatever reason, my Instagram isn't experiencing too much censorship. They might put a little thing at the bottom of a post on Instagram. It says, this is misinformation, or it might put a little fact checker, but they're not pulling my content down, at least on Instagram anymore. They're just putting fact checkers, but everyone knows that the fact checkers are all fake anyway. So like people just click past it. And that's kind of like an indicator, like, oh, they don't want us to know about that because they put a fact checker on it. And that makes people even more curious to click past it and see what it says. So right now, my Instagram, and then you can find me on Rumble. My username is Higher Consciousness, all spelled out one word.
Well,
I went to oh, go ahead.
No, after you.
Okay. I went to Sean's, Sean's the only one I'm following on my Crystal Claire account, by the way. As I meet other people that are sharing this stuff, I'll follow them, but Sean's the only one so far. And I went to go watch one of his videos, and there was a little banner at the bottom that said, this person's been found to be posting false content in the past. And I was like, well, I'm definitely going to watch that video then. I'm like, well, oh, so he's sharing the truth. Yeah, but I do find that Instagram's more lenient. They are allowing me to post my videos when TikTok isn't. So so far that's okay. But also, you know, this is what I've been taught by channeling, is that my guides are saying, don't worry about that stuff. This is not, that our job isn't to worry about if the platforms we're on are going to be censored. Our job, each one of us has our job, but like for Sean and I, one of our jobs here is sharing truth, right? He's sharing it based on his, where he's getting it. I'm sharing based on what I'm channeling. They tell me, and Jennylyn, you're putting people out, people's stories out there. They say, don't worry about whether or not the information is getting out. Keep on doing what you're doing, and they're taking care of all that stuff. There's people potentially making other types of apps and other types of platforms right now, right? And our logical brain can't possibly comprehend what's coming. All we know is what we've seen up to this moment in our life, right? So our brains can't comprehend what's being done right now. Our job is just to stay in the faith and trust and keep going and put our information out there and know that it's going to get out somehow, and we'll be guided to the places that we need to be getting it out to. We just have to stay in our lane.
Well, thank you for that. So Heather, tonight, what did you want to share with us tonight? What are your guides telling us to share tonight in this segment? Because you have done so much. It's hard to pigeonhole what we should speak about tonight.
Sure. Okay, good question. So they were telling me to say something earlier, so and they're telling me to say it again. So I'll share on that. But yeah, because I share about Hollywood on my TikTok account, which I don't care about, but it's to help with the awakening, so people can see that it's all an illusion. It's all part of this system. It's not real, right? And I share about, you know, where we're really from, what we're really here doing, how to raise your vibration, and that's what they're saying they want me to share. So you mentioned something earlier about, you know, people in your life or friends think what you're doing or sharing or thinking or speaking about sounds crazy, and what they're saying is that we're in a time right now, and I went through this 4 years ago when I woke up and I was visited by two light beings. I called them my angels. I don't know who they really were, you know, but I haven't gotten names. But when I was visited by them and they spoke to me for 3.5 hours, and then I started channeling, I didn't believe in any of this stuff before. And within a 6-month period of time, basically everybody fell away from my life. Like there was a handful of people, but like my everyday people that I saw, a group of girlfriends I had, like even my own family fell away. And they're saying that's what happens when you, like, if you're going to be vibrating on a different level or your consciousness shifts, that just kind of happens. And we have to be okay with things shifting and changing, because when we try to hold on to our the things that we believe we need in our life, or the people in our life, or we're trying to convince people of something, that only makes our own life harder, and it lowers our vibration. And we're here to start operating at a higher level vibration so we can have a ripple effect on other people, so that we can all start shifting our consciousness higher, so we can break this system, right? That's what it's about, really. So they're saying it might feel hard to no longer be interacting with people in your life that you interact with all the time. Maybe people don't understand you as much if you're starting to shift in your consciousness, or your mind's starting to you're starting to understand what's going on here. You start to see things in a different way, but other people around you are not. You have to give yourself love and patience, and know that there's a good chance those people come around later, but it's time to let that go. And what they tell me, they bring this up a lot with my clients, and I make videos about this. They say, if you're in a job that's not bringing you joy, if you feel like you're giving and not receiving, if you're being bullied, if you're working crazy hours, and if it's not feeding your soul, it's time to leave the job. If you're in a relationship that you don't feel, is feeding your soul, if you don't feel like it's supportive, you don't feel like it's reciprocal, it's time to consider leaving those relationships, partnerships, and friendships, all of it, because those are the things that are holding us down like weights on our ankles in an ocean. And that's what keeps us aligned to the system. It's the same vibration. as these systems. So they're saying that we have to be okay with letting the things go from our life that aren't aligning to where we're moving. Each individual person, right? As your consciousness raises, as you start learning truth and you acclimate to the fear that might bring, right? And then you start bringing in more truth and you acclimate to that, you're going to realize that things and people are going to fall away from you. And they said we have to be okay with letting those go and really operate more from a place of finding more things that bring us joy and love and hope and peace. And the universe, your higher self, your spirit guides, etc., will bring you people and experiences that are going to align to your new vibration. But if you let the old experiences that don't align to you anymore, the people that don't align to you anymore, if you keep holding on to that, it keeps you held down and you can't get to the place where those people and experiences and jobs are waiting for you at a higher vibration. So they're saying we have to be okay with letting that go and creating the space for the universe to bring things that are more aligned to us. And when you do that, more truth can come in, because what they're saying is our life, we have a full life, right? We have jobs, we have people, we have maybe partners, we have pets, we have maybe some people have children, friendships, right? We have a full life. If our life is full of things that are keeping us in a lower consciousness or lower vibration, we have to first clear that out so that it creates the openness for the truth to come in, like revolutionary thoughts to come in, for you to hear your higher guidance. And they tell me this too all the time with my clients. When my clients come to me and they say, I'm having trouble connecting to my higher self or my spirit guides, they say it's because you're bogged down with all this heavy stuff that's not aligning to you to the higher vibration. So you got to let the people go. You got to let the job go and set the intention. Say, universe, higher self, God, guide me to the career, the people, the place, even where you live, that will bring you to a higher vibration. And it will slowly start bringing you the steps to get there. I mean, that's what happened to me. And my life is a completely different life than it was 4 years ago. So we got to be okay with letting that stuff go so that we can create the life that's going to be more aligned to us.
Thank you, Heather. Now, Sean, I noticed that you have a lot of converts. I noticed that some of the people that used to bang you up, that they are now like you are opening their eyes. Do you want to talk about that? What kind of reactions you're getting now versus when you first started? Because I try to watch everything you do. Sometimes I can't watch all of it, but I try to keep up with what you're both doing. So I know, how to do these interviews and be on the same page with what you've both been sharing. But some of what you share, Sean, I don't ask you on this show because I know people will get lost in it. So I try to keep it centered around what I know will be relatable to my viewers.
Sure. So as far as like waking people up, and this goes in terms for any kind of new paradigms or even new technologies that are disruptive to the old paradigms, at first it gets ridiculed, it gets kind of blown off, and then it becomes more prominent, and then people start, some people will start to actually gravitate towards it even more, but then some people will start to resist it, and then eventually some people will, in technology, eventually it'll get to a point to where it starts getting like they start getting hit with lawsuits. And then it's kind of like this bumpy ride until the new paradigm is created or until the new technology gets introduced that changes the paradigm. But there's these different phases that it always goes through, where at one point it's ridiculed and completely blown off, and then it'll get lawsuits like this. Napster, remember Napster? Music sharing, file sharing. That's a perfect example of this. When Napster and file sharing came out, first it was like everyone was like, oh, no way, you can't get music for free. That's not how the world works. You have to go to Tower Records and pay for the music. But then Napster came out and everyone's file sharing. It's like, oh, it's free. It's available. All I have to do is connect to the internet. I got all this free music. And then Tower Records filed bankruptcy. So lawsuits started getting handed out. The government started throwing teenagers in jail, trying to make examples out of what happens to you when you download free music because it's evil and it's bad. And then Napster got shut down, and then another technology came out very similar to Napster. It was called BitTorrent, or not. What was it called? I think it was BitTorrent. But Napster was a centralized music sharing platform. BitTorrent was a decentralized music sharing platform. And because of the decentralization of that data, being the music files, now, after all the lawsuits have been handed out, after Tower Records is long gone and the dust has settled, it's just the way the world is. It literally changed the whole paradigm of how people receive music. The old paradigm was you had to pay for it at Tower Records. The new paradigm is music is free, it's abundant, it's everywhere. That's just the way the world is. No one's bitching, whining, and complaining anymore, like during the Napster days. And that's what we see happening now as these old paradigms crumble and the new paradigms come into fruition. You follow me so far?
I am following you. And what I've noticed, because I really nose around your site a lot and your stuff, only because I'm trying to gauge where people are at. And I think what I've observed personally is some of them are going and doing their homework. After they
Yes.
listen to you, they're going to vet it. And then they come back at you with questions because now they're like, I think he's onto something. And then they come at you with questions and you always eloquently answer. And what I love is when you don't know the answer, you say, I'm not sure. And you also give them references where they could go and check it for themselves. And I thank you for that because it's you and several people on there that are really starting to wake people up. And based on the fact that I scout that whole TikTok for this type of information, I can tell you a lot of people are waking up, and this is why I believe we are being so highly censored. Now, one thing you said just now when they were locking these teenagers up back in Napster days, can you believe the things they put people in jail for? These people who are putting people in jail are the ones who deserve to be in jail. It's so like maddening. It's so irritating that this has gone on for so long. The victimization of these bullies, because that's what I call them. And Heather is doing a good job of exposing them. So Heather, you've pretty much done a whole series on the collapse of the systems. This is what people come back at me with, and maybe the two of you can tell me how I can answer this. They say to me, okay, Jenny, you're bringing this stuff and showing it to us. So what are we going to do with it? So why do we need to know this? What should we do with it? And this is a question that I get almost daily. And this is how I've been answering it. I've been saying, well, at least you're aware and you need to start waking up, because the more of us who wake up, hopefully at some point are going to effect change and stop it. But is that the correct answer?
You want me to go first or Sean? I feel like Sean will have a good
Go
answer.
first. You can go, Heather. It's okay.
Okay. So I think that's a multiple answer question, but what I get when I'm channeling is that knowledge is power and knowledge is freedom. It's up to each person what they do with this information, right? And so what they share with me, and I make videos about this, is you have a choice. Once you learn what's going on, right? You can either, and I went through this myself, you can either get pulled into the fear and the anger, and that's going to take time. It's like the stages of grief. It's like you got to mourn the world that you thought was real. You got to mourn your reality you thought was real. You got to go through the stages of grief, and then you have a choice. You can stay there in the anger and the fear and keep perpetuating this. And when you're in anger and fear, you can't hear higher guidance. And we all have higher guidance. Whether you call it God, you can call it your higher self, spirit guides, and all of those things are the same and different. I know that's hard to wrap your brain around, but we all have higher guidance. We're all here for a reason. We've all chosen to come here for a reason. If you want to hear your higher guidance to guide you out of these systems, you have to choose not to be in fear and anger at some point. Go through the stages of grief when you start learning truth. Then you got to choose love. You have to move over into acceptance and observation mode and say, okay, I understand this is what's happening here. This is not what I thought. It's not what anybody in my family thought, my parents, my grandparents. I'm waking up to truth now. I've gone through my stages of grief, and now I'm ready to be part of creating the new world. And the first thing that you can do in order to create the new world is to start envisioning the world that you want and start doing more things that bring you joy and that could participate in creating the world that you want. More trading with people, more bartering and trading, bringing happiness to someone, buying someone a coffee, anything at all. When you start operating from a place of love instead of fear and anger, you literally have a direct, you're directly connected to the world shifting into a more love paradigm and out of this. So what do you do? And answer the question, what do you do when you realize this stuff is happening? You give yourself love and patience and allow yourself to move through the feelings of grief, right? To mourn everything that you thought was real. That's normal. Like when a kid, like my story of Santa Claus, when I learned Santa Claus wasn't real, I was totally in denial. It was not real. Of course Santa is real. What are you talking about? Well, I've gotten over that. So at some point you get over this, right? You realize, okay, this is the way it is. And then start creating the world that you want within your own home, within your own environment, not trolling people online and blowing up their feeds with hate comments or negative comments at the start, right? Starting to let things go from your life that are not bringing you joy, because that's not how we're meant to operate. But the system tells us we are meant to operate that way and to go to the doctor and get a bunch of pills so you can keep operating this way. So you have choices. You have choices on what you do once you learn this information, and it's move from fear and anger into love and start making an example of the life that you want to live within your own life, so that can have a ripple effect out into the whole collective, because it's real. Everything's energy, and when you shift your own vibration, you have a direct connection to other people's energy around you. They did a study. I will not be surprised if Sean knows these details. They did a study where they brought in a bunch of monks. I can't remember what city, but a high crime rate city. And they meditated daily for a certain amount of time. And they directly correlated the time that they were meditating with a massive reduction in crime in the city they were meditating in and envisioning in their meditation. So we are very powerful. We can create the world we want to live in. We just don't realize that we believing this is real and continuing to funnel our attention here is what's creating this. So the first step is letting that go and then choosing where you want to put your emotions with what you know to be truth now.
It's amazing. Sean, I'm going to let you answer in a minute. I just want to interject with this quickly. It's amazing as I discover how many people would like to just continue living in oblivion and living the way they are, than are willing to even stop, listen, and look. John, what's your take on the same question? What have you noticed?
Well, I've noticed that some people want to break free from the system of enslavement and other people don't. Some people are ready, some people are not ready. It reminds me of the movie The Matrix, where one of the characters that had already been unplugged and pulled out of the Matrix and was fighting against the Matrix, he just got tired of it. And there's a scene where he goes back and talks to the Matrix agents and he's like, I'm over this. Plug me back in. I just want to enjoy nice food and live blissfully ignorant, and plug me back in, make me someone important. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of fighting this war. So some people might not even want to. They might just want to keep remaining a slave because they're comfortable. And, a lot of people, they don't change until they get pushed out of their comfort zone, but some people can't handle being pushed out of their comfort zone and they avoid trying to be pushed out of their comfort zone. So it's a very subjective thing. And I think each individual has the free will to choose where they want to take it and whether or not they want to create their own life or become a slave to the system. But we all have the creative conscious power of the universe flowing through us. And we are collectively creating the reality. And most people that are still plugged into the control system, they don't know the power that they have. And these ruling elites, they have been using the power of our consciousness against us with psychological manipulations. So it just comes down to the person. And if you're one of those people you're just barely starting to wake up, for lack of better words, or you want to continue down the path of waking up, there's some cheat codes. You can open your pineal gland really quick with the Kundalini method that Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, or with psilocybin, or you can go down to the rainforest down in Central and South America and drink ayahuasca with the shamans. But you know, everyone's got to go at their own pace, and it's like a path that you choose in life. It's a lifestyle. So it's up to each and every one of us to choose how fast we want to wake up, how dedicated we are to waking up. But the universe, from my experience, it rewards efforts.
Thank you. Heather, when you refer to the systems that are running the world right now, before meeting you and Sean, my spiritual teachers referred to them as the powers that be. But I've noticed that you specifically say the powers that were. Would you like to speak about? I know you showed us in the previous segments these pillars collapsing, but I'm asking this question because I know a lot of my friends want to know, how could we be sure that we can actually certainly or factually refer to them as the powers that were? What do you know that makes you say this?
A couple things. The first thing is, I'm channeling this, right?
Okay.
And my guides have shown me that they're scrambling. They're not holding the power anymore. They're losing their grip. So this is why there is so much chaos and mayhem happening around the globe, right? 2020 was a great example of this. And all of the things that are happening around the globe, they are literally pulling out every page in their book right now to reduce the chances of more people waking up and raising their consciousness, because that is what's going to shift the planet. So
being so censored.
Exactly, right. And you know, if there's a crazy person talking about something that is gibberish that nobody cares about, do you think they're going to get censored? Do they get shut up from talking? No. It's the people that people who are sharing things that are a threat to the current narrative is what's that are getting censored. So, you know, and AI is all part of this now, but so, you know, people, so what my guides are saying right now, this is the first of the two things, but what they're saying is that the powers, when somebody is in control, I guess, in control of their situation, in control of their life, in control of this, right? They're calm, cool, and collected. You know, they're in control. When you start to lose control and it's an all-out, just chaotic, you know, grasping at straws to try to keep things going, then I call that the powers that were. They're no longer. What my guides have shown me is they've already lost their grip. It's just that the train has been moving. This train has been moving at, you know, 1,000 miles an hour for the last thousands and thousands of years, and it's going to take time to start to break and turn around. But we're breaking, and what's going to cause the break is more of us waking up to the truth and then making a decision to move to a vibration of love and create the life that we want. So that's one reason why I call them the powers that were. And I guess that's both. That's two and one. They're just losing their grip. They don't have control anymore. The only thing they're doing right now that they still have control of is continuing to use like Hollywood celebrities, religion, right? Projecting mayhem through the news, raising prices on things, trying to keep us small, trying to keep us in fear, trying to keep us scared. Right, they're still pulling out all those stops, but it's a concentrated effort right now because they're losing their grip. And so we can celebrate that, but we have to remember that we are the ones. They use us to create this reality. They're not creating this reality. We're creating this reality by believing what they're telling us is real. That's how it gets created. So we have to let that go and start waking up to what's really going on, and then choose: do we want to live here, like Sean was saying, we have a choice, right? We have free will. Or do we want to live in a world that's more love and freedom and happiness? Well, we have to create that despite what they're doing, right? So they're losing control, and that's good. That's because of all of us raising our consciousness and starting to wake up.
Sean, what do you see happening based on, I mean, you've been in this much longer than Heather. What would you say since you started? Because I didn't know, I only found you about 10 months ago. What have you noticed from when you started to now that is blatant and that you think it's a good sign that you are making headway?
Well, think about it like this. These powers that were, let's use an analogy of a football game. It's the fourth quarter. There's not very much time left. And this is like their Hail Mary. They've got one last chance to keep humanity down and enslaved. And they are just deploying everything they've got all at once. War after war after war, fake pandemic after fake pandemic, economic collapse, manipulations of the markets, fear mongering campaigns, propaganda, bio weapons, direct energy weapons, weather manipulation technology, triggering earthquakes. Just they're throwing it all at once because it's their last chance. But the more that they do this all at once, and the more that they do it like one after another, the more obvious it becomes. So, prior to this, prior to 2020, they would do things very, very slowly. And for the most part, people wouldn't really notice because there'd be such long intervals in between each thing that they would do. But now it's like, it's so much all at once that you literally have to be blind to not see it. They're going all out. It's like when you got the wild animal cornered and there's nothing it can do except scratch and kick and bite and throw a freaking temper tantrum. That's what these powers that were are going through right now. It's like a dying animal that's just scratching and clawing and screaming and throwing a fit.
And the thing
Yes.
that is to do this is people like you and Heather and all the other people out there saying, hey, this is what you thought, but that's not what's happening. This is what is happening. And you are bringing facts. You can't refute facts. And so I think this is what makes us dangerous, because all it takes are people like us trying to put the truth out there. And this is why the only way they think they can maintain any power is by shutting us up. And they can't shut us up, because the more that they censor us and the more they take us out, there's more of us rising to the top. And if you are someone who's paying attention, you have to wonder, why are we being censored so heavily? And like I say all the time, if you're watching this video, please go watch everyone who's being censored, because you'll find they're telling you exactly what Sean and Heather are telling you. Now, Sean, what do you want to say to people who are just waking up? Like the people who are us first, we're getting them to listen, at least to listen, and they have an open mind as they listen, like a newcomer to this knowledge. What would you say to that first time hearing this stuff person?
What I'm being guided to share is that getting your body clean is very important to accelerate the process of waking up and expanding your consciousness. Experimenting with different high vibrational diets, learning how to open your pineal gland. If you're able to do a fast, maybe like a 3 or 4 day fast, a 7-day fast, if you've got the time and the resources to do it, to get away from work. But when you do this stuff, when you start fasting, when you start practicing meditation, it changes your consciousness. Even just go out in nature by yourself and just sit for a couple hours. So all by yourself and just quiet your mind and try to not think about anything and see if any information starts to flow. But when you start practicing this stuff, it's going to accelerate your awakening. And then you're going to start getting intuitions and be guided on where to go next. Or some things might even just synchronistically fall into your lap. Synchronistic meetings with people that help accelerate your process. Or you'll synchronistically be walking through the mall or something, and a certain book will just be sitting right there and it'll stand out at you. And you'll have this like weird intuition to be like, I need that book. That's just stuff that I've personally experienced. And I've spoken with others that have also confirmed these very same kind of experiences. So just go with the flow and stay on that course. And See what happens. Just think of it as an experiment. Have fun with it. Learn how to build a relationship with your higher self in this way, and you won't feel alone. You know, some people have trouble feeling isolated and alone when they go down this path because their immediate inner circle of friends, family, coworkers are not awake yet, and they start feeling isolated. They start feeling like they have to dumb themselves down just to fit in with these people now. But if you think about it, like you're building a relationship with your higher self, and your higher self will speak with you and communicate with you in very subtle ways through like intuitions, through through numerology, sometimes seeing numbers, or also through deja vu. You'll start getting little strange signs and hints, and you'll get more of them, and they'll become more obvious to you that it is a communication if you get your body really clean and function with an opening pineal gland. Fasting is a great way to do this. Even just cut out the toxic food and start introducing more organic vegetables and fruits into your diet is going to raise your vibration. You can also start doing some of the supplements that enhance your pineal gland, like monatomic gold, colloidal silver, gotu kola. There's different supplements you can also start including into your diet that's going to help accelerate your process. But have fun with it, and don't be afraid of the isolation and feeling alone. Just know that you have a new relationship you can start building with your higher self. And it's a fascinating relationship, because when you start doing this, like when you start getting the confirmations that, wow, there is something, some higher intelligence communicating with me, life gets really, really interesting.
Does. Heather, before I have you answer, I have to say this, that some of the people that watch me, you say to them about their higher self, they look at you like, what? They're not aware that they have a higher self. So I guess you're getting the picture. So Heather, what are your guides telling you to say to someone who's who's now waking up to all of this? Because remember, we were taught religion, and religion doesn't teach you any of this.
No, it's part of the system. Why would they tell us this? That would help us break from the system. So basically identical to what Sean just said. It's about getting the body pure, and also, like I mentioned earlier, removing things from your life that are bringing your vibration down. Relationships, jobs, living area. Like I moved out of Portland, Oregon 3.5 years ago. Right after Light Beings visited me, I got this huge nudge to go leave the city, and now I live on an acre in the forest. And again, everything is totally shifted in the last 4 years. So change your circumstances, change your reality. So people, job, how you spend your time, and move to more organic foods. The powers that were know how powerful we are. They know that we're the creators. And since all of this is wiped from us before we're 5, and then we get in the system, the education system, and new programs are installed, they have to keep us. We are naturally connected to our higher guidance, higher self, God, spirit, source, universe, whatever. We're naturally connected. We come naturally connected, but we're told when we're little that that's not real, because our parents and caregivers are told that, right? And we hear that in church. Only the person on the pulpit tells you how to live your life, right? Go to school, only the teacher can tell you what you should be doing. So we have higher guidance. That how my guides explain it is that we're in a labyrinth here. And you know, when you're in a labyrinth, you can only see the pathway you're in. And I think of the labyrinth in the movie The Labyrinth, but I also think of the labyrinth in the movie with Jack Nicholson. I can't remember what movie that is, from like 30 years ago. But when you're in the labyrinth, you can't see anything, right? Our higher guidance has our life blueprint. We create a life blueprint before we come. We create soul contracts with people and experiences to ensure that we align to our highest timeline. But when we're here as a child, all of that stuff gets wiped from us, and we don't hear the higher guidance. We're trained to hear external, and we're trained to tune out the soft guidance of our higher self, who can see the whole labyrinth, and they know exactly what we're here to do. They know exactly what's going to bring us joy and happiness. And that's what's guiding us if we can tune into it. So your body is our vessel. Our body is an antenna, is what my guides are saying right now. Our body is an antenna, and you have to keep it as pure as possible to be able to connect with your higher guidance. And then your life, your reality, that needs to be cleared. Like the job that I was in at the bank, that shall not be named unless you go to my website, speakupandstandstrong.net. The bank that I used to work at, right, I stood up against corruption and overt racism, and I didn't know any of this existed, this spirituality side. I didn't know I had a higher self, right? I questioned if there was a God. But I stood up against it. I was miserable. I had a stroke, you know, very, very young from the pressure. And this happens a lot. I get a lot of clients that come to me with health issues from their reality, and they're popping pills to keep going. So that horrible toxic situation was literally keeping me from hearing my higher guidance. And what shifted for me, and this is what I share with everyone too, so this is, take note, I make videos on this. What shifted in my life is in August of 2019, I was laying in bed depressed, and I said, if anything out there can hear me, if there's anything beyond this, I doubt that there is, but if there is, if you can hear me, I need help. Immediately, I started seeing the same numbers all the time. Because our higher self, there are things called the universal laws, and two of them are the law of free will. You can do what you want here, right? You get to choose if you want to do this or not. And the law of non-intervention. Our guides and our higher self cannot intervene and help us through the labyrinth unless we ask for help. They can turn up the heat in areas of our life, like the most important areas, our relationships, our job, etc., our health. They can turn up the heat in our lives in order to encourage us to go a different direction, but they can't make us do it. So ask for help. You know, if you don't know, you know, what to think about this, just say, you know what, if there's anything out there that is really helping me in this life, help me. You know, I'm ready. I'm ready to be guided. But cleansing your body and cleansing your life from the things that are bringing you low energy will help you to strengthen your antenna to your higher guidance.
As I listen to both you and Sean, the one thing that I notice, and I'm sure you both are very aware of this as well, is, isn't it funny how we're never thought about anything like our higher selves, like our guides? We are only taught those things that kept us in the religious box. So in order to like help people to start waking up, when you tell them about your higher self, or like you shared, Sean, going in the wilderness, can I tell you, since I was about 7, I heard a voice in my head, or before that. And I would tell my parents, and they made me think I was strange, because nobody in the family could relate to it. And it wasn't their fault, because no one taught them. They were only taught about religion, right? And so I'm sure that, Heather, you said you had similar experience as a child, right? And so I grew up feeling sorry for myself. Sorry that I was so weird and nobody around me could relate to me. And this is the truth. And now I'm realizing how I wish I had listened to that voice in my head, because that voice would have kept me out of a lot of the trouble that I got into. Sean, I know that you were down in Tulum recently. Did you find anything there that you think, I mean, you shared some of what you found with us earlier tonight, but I saw you posted skeletons one day of something you found on the beach. Is this like visible to anybody who visits, or did you go looking and found them somewhere off the beaten track? I wanted to know, because I saw them, that you had posted them.
So I did post a bunch of the Anunnaki Nephilim skeleton pictures. I didn't personally find those in Tulum, but I just have been following different researchers and different groups of other people that are into this stuff, and they all share photos from all over the world of different archaeological discoveries. So I'll bunch them all together and put them like in a slideshow and share them on TikTok, because I've gotten a lot of questions about that. It's a very highly discussed topic, the Nephilim giants, the ancient history, the ancient races. So I kind of just go with, the direction of the viewers. And that was one thing that seemed to get a lot of attention, and I had a lot of questions about. So I've kind of just continued to share information on that, but that's where a lot of that came from. Also, sometimes I'll share, like, I'll take a photo of like some of the books I've read and stuff. So some of the books I've read have pictures and things like that in them.
So we're down to 3 minutes, but what I would like to ask is when we do the next segment, if we could talk about that. Because like I said, people, a lot of them who watch me are not on TikTok and they won't know what that is. They don't know who the Anunnaki, what it is or who they are. And then Heather, if you could prepare for that topic as well, then maybe we can introduce to my viewers what that's all about and how it's related to all that's happening in this awakening process. And so we're down to 2 minutes. What do you want to leave with the viewers this week, Sean?
Well, what I want to leave everyone with is don't be afraid of the unknown, and don't be afraid to break free from a system that could potentially be limiting you. I know, like with Heather's story, working in a corporate kind of construct ended up becoming very stressful. And I've witnessed that time and time again, where the corporate construct really limits you. In most cases, you're limited by a salary, a fixed salary, you're limited by a fixed wage, and there's a boss dictating how much money you're allowed to make. But once you break free from all that and switch your mindset in that very instant, you just created unlimited earning potential. Because when you stop trading your time for money or trading your freedom for a salary, and you start attracting it based on your performance, well, there's no limit to how well you can perform. So in that instant, you just created unlimited earning potential.
And Sean, you said you've never really had a job throughout your life, right? And you do very well. You said you only had one job where you worked in a bike shop. Is that correct? How did you manage that?
Yeah, I had a couple little ones.
Okay, but did you know?
Coming in, Sean.
Heather, you.
What do I have to leave people with?
Yes, leave with them this week.
Well, let me just piggyback really quickly and say that I have 1 year of college and I was very successful in corporate. The system tells you have to do certain things in order to be successful and make money. That's not true. In the year I had in college, I was just so thankful to be free from my very restrictive home that I didn't really do a lot of studying. So the system tells you have to do certain things to make it. None of it's true. Because we come here with innate gifts and abilities and talents. We come here with a goal. We are in a womb already ready to go with our mission and purpose. We just are told otherwise when we come out of the womb. I do videos on this, and my guides give me the illustrations to help. They're stick figures. They're not great, but I'm told that they're very, very helpful. So I would say, I would just piggyback on what Sean just said, in that we are unlimited beings. Okay, we're unlimited. We just have not been told of our full capabilities. All right, I'm being reminded of do your own. The second thing I would say is go do your own research. Don't take any of our words for it. If you take just our words for it, then it's the same thing as taking the words of the system, right? And not doing your own research. So don't take our words for it. Go do your own research. There's plenty of books. Sean on his channel shares lots of books to read, right? Go to Gaia, Gaia. They have lots of great content, and then discern for yourself what resonates with you. If it brings fear, then you're not feeling your higher self's guidance. Okay, but we're capable of doing anything we want. And I'm going to probably butcher the facts on this, but I think it was in the early 1900s. I'm being reminded there was some earthquake. Was it in California? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think Joe Dispenza talks about this, but they said that there were people who their whole life, were crippled, like in wheelchairs. That when this earthquake, I believe it was an earthquake, happened, they got up out of the wheelchair and ran. Your mind says you're capable of certain things, or we're told we're limited. But when it comes down to it, our mind is what creates the reality we want, right? So if we believe that we're limited, we're going to be limited. The system tells us we're limited. So if you believe you're limited, you're going to feel limited. But if you start to do research and just allow yourself the freedom, just try it for 6 months. You can live the rest of your life going back to the old way if you want. For 6 months, tell yourself you're capable of anything and start envisioning and dreaming the life that you want. Raise your vibration, cleanse your body, remove things from the life that you're bring your lower vibration, and you will shift into a life like Sean has created, like I have created for myself, like other people have created for themselves when they've opened up and said, I'm ready to receive higher guidance. You're capable of doing anything you want here because we create our reality. So don't let this system continue telling you that you're limited, because you're not.
My guides are giving me this illustration to share. The fact that we are being censored and pulled down is telling you, if you can't do your research, that we're telling you the truth. Although you should go and vet it for yourself. Because here's a good example. There was a crazy preacher some years ago that told all these people the world was ending. He didn't just say it, it was everywhere, even on billboards, and nobody stopped him. He was able to convince so many people that the world was ending. And the day came and left and the world didn't end. So why are we being so censored? And that, I think, speaks for itself. And so we thank you so much. I thank these two beautiful people who've taken time out of their Saturday night to do this with me. And we are just trying to help you to wake up so that you can have a better life for you and your family. So many kids are told by their parents, you won't amount to anything if you don't go to college, if you don't go get an education. And they force their kids into debt, because how many educated people in America are without debt? And then they come out and they owe thousands and they have no job. What way to start your life? So please listen to what Heather and Sean are sharing. I am taking time out of my Saturday night with them because we want to help everybody to wake up. Because when you know the truth, it's up to you to choose what you want to do with it. But at least we're helping you to wake up to the facts and not what we were taught. And we will see you soon with another segment. And Heather and Sean will be sharing how the powers that be have used Hollywood to play out their agenda. And next week's segment will be the channeling of Oprah Winfrey. Thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired and awakened, as in this case. And we will be back soon with more groundbreaking information.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.